come back.
I can feel it. Time has come now to reveal it. I've been waiting for a long time. Gotta do it. And won't let nothing hold me down. Gotta do it. Because I may not get another chance. I believe it. If I want it, I can have it. I believe it. Done with falling, done with losing. I can do it. I think I'll tell myself again. I can do it. Yeah. And I'm not
Hey,
gonna stop
how
till
y'all
I
doing? How y'all doing?
win.
Dr. Rowland, what's going on? Come on in the room. Come on in the room. Come on in the room. Send that request, Dr. Rowland. Hey, Doug, how you doing? I hope that I need to. A lot of people live right now. Dr. Rowland, send me a request. Send me a request. I'll send you an invite. And I won't let it pass me by. Ladies and gentlemen, tonight is going to be a good night. We're going to ask some questions. We're going to get some things simplified here. We got Dr. Rowland. We're going to talk about something similar to what we did last week. All right, it says you're unable to join. Let's try that again. All right, let me cut that music off. It says you're unable to join. Try it again. Hey, how you doing? How are you? Well, thank you so much. You know, there's a lot of people out here doing some positive things. We just want to have some information tonight. We're gonna give you a little bit of information. And hey, Capo, what's going on, Capo? Tonight we got information for you. Oh,
as if I couldn't hear you, but I had the volume down.
Oh, okay. Well, sit back a little bit so we can see that beautiful hair and everything you got. Go back.
Thank you.
Go back a little bit more for me so I can see you. You all dressed up. I'm casual tonight because you coming from business meetings and everything.
Look, you got your on. You got your suit on. Let me back it up.
And talk. Introduce yourself right quick. I'll be right back. All right. Introduce yourself. Let them know who you are. Can you hear me okay?
I saw the video spinning, so I wanted to make sure we had you on live.
Yeah. What I had said was, I said, go ahead, introduce yourself. I'm setting up my sound right quick. Introduce yourself. Okay. Hey, Elevate, Revern, introduce yourself. I'll be right back. I'm coming right back. Go ahead.
Hello. And let me tell you a little bit about myself, since this is kind of like a story time. I grew up 10 years old, used to live in fear because I was in Manhattan, up in Harlem, New York, and I had the fear of death, and my mom, she was murdered when I was 10. My brother had to witness it, and I learned over the years that I had to come out of the question and situations regarding what happened to her, and to live and come out of that stage of being in fear and afraid of speaking about death. We know death is going to happen, so I went from being a fearful person to more so a fearless. And now I'm learning how to make sure I say when I speak, it is worthwhile. It is worthwhile. And so from there, we are in this stage of where we're focusing on legacy planning and making sure we set ourselves up for success and not failure. We don't want
Okay.
to be blaming things on past mistakes and mishaps. We didn't let it break us, so it made us. And to the glory of God, here we are today. He's
Woo!
brought us, what you say, a mighty long way. And so we are here to share that with you,
And
how
we
we
thank
get
you.
through our journey.
And we thank you. We truly thank you
I'm
because we
grateful.
know that's not easy. We know that's not easy. And you are
Isn't it?
now taking your life experience and helping other people to create their legacies. And tonight, we are opening up the door for you guys to ask questions, for you guys, if you have some concerns about some things that are happening in your life. Sometimes, Jonica, people have things that come out of the blue, unexpected stuff. Y'all know
Yeah.
me. I'm Crystal. I'm here. I'm your host for the night, and this is my co-host for the night. I got to tell you, like, I had a family member this past couple of weeks. We had to make adjustments because, she went and she got herself a home, and we moved some things around. She qualified for almost about a $400,000-$500,000 home, and we
Yeah.
moved some stuff around, and we had to do some things with 401k plans and annuities and stuff like that. Some people don't even have that stuff in place, Jonica. And so when you go to make these deals and you go to do things, when you go to buy homes, and when you have unexpected blessings or unexpected lessons that you learn from tragedies, they're not prepared. They're not prepared, So that's what we're here for today, to answer questions. If you have any type of situation, you got a question, just found out, please, Miss Simple, put it in the chat or let us know. Come up, ask your question live. We would love to help you answer your question. You are welcome to come up here live if you have a question. If you have a financial situation, a life-changing situation, please, please, please feel free. You can come up, introduce yourself to Dr. Jonica. You can ask us live. You can put it in the question mark box. If you put it in the question mark box, everybody can hear. Or you are welcome to come up and ask it live. The floor is open. So we welcome you to come up, Miss Simply. Please, please join us, send a request, and we will allow you to come and ask your question. Let me allow
And
you to
those of
come on
you
up
out
here.
there on Facebook, we're at Shout Crystal. It's HoutCrystal, and I am Dr. Jonica Rowland _MBA. So you can see Crystal as well. Yes, we didn't get to set it up where everyone can be on, but I'm grateful to be here. Thanks again, Crystal, for allow me to come on this evening.
Well, Mr. Simple Life, come on and ask your questions. Put your question in the question box. We would love to know what your question is. You could be the first question for the day. Joyful Connections. If you have come across some situations with the people that you help, you are welcome to ask a question and join us. We want to hear what your questions are. We know that people are dealing with everyday surprises, everyday unexpected situations, and they don't always know the right thing. Sometimes you have to call advisors and get answers, and that's why we want to be here. What are some of these unexpected things? It could be a refrigerator goes out, something happens with your car, something happens with one of your children, a medical situation. Jonica, you've seen it all, haven't you?
Yes, I've seen maybe 99% of it all.
Yeah, and
I've
people, when
seen
when you have these
enough.
unexpected situations, you have to know where to go. And if you didn't plan accordingly, and you don't have that savings account, and you don't have that money set up, then you definitely will be in a situation where you may not be able to be prepared for that unexpected surprise. So if you know that something is going on with one of your children, one of your siblings, or with you, and you have some questions about moving some money around, about making withdrawals, about getting some loans, all those kind of questions, we want to be here for you. Because another thing that causes people, Jonica, and you could talk about this, sometimes people have unexpected deaths. And they have
Mhm.
unexpected death, and they wind up and they have to go and just saturate all their money out the bank. They have to take all their money out. That there goes their vacation, their emergency fund, everything gone, and now they're in the hole. Can you talk about that?
Yes, I can. I'll be right back. Um, let's say someone passed away. How are you going to fly out to see them? Okay.
Yeah, so
Let
sometimes they have to be prepared. They have to be prepared to take that trip. When that unexpected death comes, they have to be prepared to have the funds to fly out. Now, some people don't have the funds. Not only the unexpected situation where we're talking about burial, but sometimes they're not even prepared to go see that person. They're not even prepared to go be by their side if they are transitioning. So,
Mhm,
you know, before we even go into things like life insurance policies and additional
mhm.
financial assistance,
I just want to
what
bring
are
up all,
some of the things? What are some of the things that people need to have in place just to be ready for the unexpected?
just to be ready for the unexpected. The unexpected can be good. The unexpected can be bad. Like someone's looking to get in that market, take advantage of getting homes. Okay, a house. Crystal mentioned that. Okay, now what you have to calculate in advance what your down payment is going to be, how you are going to get that money when it's time. So you need the right people you need to speak with. Getting a home, a new car, maintenance, a new refrigerator, a stove, relocating if you're looking for jobs, caregiving, okay, caregiving. Let's say what the roof fly off.
Oh
Have
man.
you storms happen? Hypothetically, those storms of life. It just happens. You shacking up with someone. Do we use the word shack? And the next thing you know, there's an abusive relationship. Where are you going? What is your backup plan? Yes, money helps. Money helps. Okay. If you have good credit, you can get some things at a lower interest rate. But if you don't prepare for it, how are you going to get there? Okay. How are you going to get where you need to be? These things happen. So, needing a new tire on a car, that's not an emergency. Okay. Um, changing the transmission, the oil change, the flushing the radiator, those are not emergencies. Okay. A refrigerator going out and the warranty is off, that's not an emergency. What do you consider to be an emergency? You need to write that down so it won't be classified as emergency because you set aside the budget. And then you go, well, what budget? You know, um, Mama and Daddy didn't tell me this, and that's why we're having this. Okay, Mama and Daddy may not be around to help anymore. That's why we have to be prepared. And then suddenly life happens. You may need to go see Mommy and Daddy, or a job layoff. So these things happen. So are we saving up enough of our paycheck so we can go a couple of months until we get another job? Are we saving up enough of our paycheck so um, we can make a down payment, or we spoken enough to someone like our parents, sisters, and brothers, our children, where we can come together and have these funds together and work on our wealth, our home ownership, and take care of our health. Okay, going on diabetic medicine and different things, those aren't emergencies. These things could have been prevented. So we have to put ourselves in a situation where we're not stressed out, busted, and disgusted. I've seen it.
Now let me ask you a question. You know, one of the things I remember when I had a situation, Jonica, the situation had to do with the home, and my renter's insurance helped me out. I didn't know. I was a new homeowner at the time, and no, I stand corrected. This is before I bought my home. This is when I was renting. And renter's insurance actually comes in handy for things that sometimes you would never expect. I had a situation where I was at the store, food line, and a shopping cart hit my car. And it
Mm,
covered, my renter's insurance covered that. So, sometimes you can have all kind of insurances that cover you for the unexpected things. And a lot of people really cut corners when it comes to these different insurances, when it comes to the car insurances, when it comes to the renter's insurance, when it comes to the life insurance, when it comes to the critical illness insurance. All these different policies are in place for a reason, and people don't really get it, man. It's better to have these things and not need it than to need them and
And
not have them.
them. So let's say people get that credit card insurance. So if something happens, their credit card are paid. That's one insurance some people can get. But that should be the last insurance if you don't have your life insurance, your health insurance in place, critical illness, cancer expense. Get what you can on your automobile insurance so that it can cover freak incidents. Now, if a shopping cart hits your car in the shopping center, especially if it wasn't your fault, that's to be covered by the shopping center, whoever owns that shopping cart. If a car rolls into you and it's not your fault, that's to be covered by their insurance. But then if they don't have enough insurance, you want to make sure you got uninsured motorists, underinsured motorists. You just want to make sure you have these things in place. Yes, if the car is paid off and you may think it's a clunker, but if something happens to that clunker and you just have liability insurance, you only covering damage for someone else. So you may get a high deductible or something, but you don't want to be without a vehicle and then you at the whim of the car dealership getting a 19 or 21% interest on an automobile loan when you probably should have been saving up for that and preparing your credit. Yes, getting that credit together. So
Now,
in regards to health, oh, I'm sorry. Mm-hmm.
no. I just don't want to hit them with too much too quick. Now, you talked about uninsured motorists. And sometimes I remember at first, but I don't know what the heck that was. I mean, it sounds good. It means covering and paying this amount just in case the other driver doesn't have insurance. And a lot of people miss that. So if you have insurance, but you hit someone or they hit you and they're at fault and they don't have insurance, they're at fault, which means their insurance company is supposed to cover it, but they don't have insurance. That's where the uninsured motors insurance comes in handy. So a lot
Right.
of times when you're picking and you're choosing, well, do I want to get full coverage? Do I want to get liability only? Make sure you have uninsured motorist insurance because you're covering yourself for the other person who doesn't have insurance in case it's their fault. So
Yes.
that's something that we need to tell our children. We need to tell our new drivers because sometimes they go out and they say, I got to get liability. It's required for me to get liability, and they only get liability. A lot of people miss that, Jonica.
Mm-hmm. So that's the thing. We want to have our bills where they are affordable, but we don't want to cut ourselves short. So let's say you have car insurance. You decide to get $1,000 deductible if something happens. Are you really gonna have that $1,000 in the bank? If not, you may pay a few dollars extra to have a lower deductible. So the uninsured motorist, someone's in from another state, because every state may not need car insurance or the type we have here, let's say in North Carolina. Someone hits you, you want that vehicle taken care of. So if they can't pay for it and you're going back and forth to court to try to sue them, what are you going to ride? Your bicycle? Okay, so if you have uninsured motorist insurance, you can have your car and vehicle repaired and then let the insurance company go after the other individual who might have some type of insurance. And then there's the underinsured motorist. What if somebody doesn't have enough insurance because they hit your Benz or your Audi?
Ooh,
And
ooh,
if you have a
ooh.
Benz and a Audi and a luxurious car, I'm pretty sure you can afford to take care of that anyway. But why spend money when you can be using that money for the future to leave a legacy? And so, and it's the same with our health. If we have a job And we can't take that disability insurance and that critical illness insurance, anything, any type of insurance plan that's going to back us up in the event life happens, an accident or so happens. We want to make sure we have things in place, okay? Because once the emergency fund is gone, you got to have something else to fall back on. Once you absorb your retirement money that you need for the future, you need to have something to fall back on. And so that's the purpose of having insurance benefits. And it's a financial matter because if you don't have the funds, you may lose the business. Okay.
Wow.
You
Now I
don't
got a
have a
question
backup
on that.
plan. You may lose the job. You may not
Mm-hmm.
have some sick pay.
Uh-huh.
And Jill and Sue, they're not going to understand. And Bobby, because they want to eat.
Yeah. Okay. Well, let me ask you this question, because some people don't think about this. So the car can't get fixed, and the car gets totaled. The car gets totaled now, and so it goes on your credit. So now you went from one situation to another, because now not only do you have a situation where you couldn't fix your car, but now you messed up your credit. Because if you get a total car and you put it on your credit or you can't fix it, how did that affect your credit when you have car accidents and those people, they result in not being able to get it financed, and people don't realize that affects your credit. When you let the car go, that affects your credit. And you talk about that, the credit. How important is it when you're trying to do these other things and your credit get jacked up?
Well, don't forget to schedule your confidential appointment. Please pin my link. Okay.
Oh yeah, I'm going to do that, definitely.
So Crystal is going like way deep. So hopefully you all aren't crying. Hi there. Hopefully you aren't crying when you get off this one. Okay. You don't have enough insurance. The other person doesn't have insurance. Your car is total. Now, just because it says total don't mean your car is inoperable. It may be total because the amount of money they put in to fix a car may not equal the value of the car. So you have the right to ask for a salvage title, and they pay you your salvage money, okay? You can do that if you have underinsured motorists and uninsured motorists. If someone doesn't have the if the other person doesn't have insurance. Now, your credit is affected if you can't get the car repaired and going. But if the car is rolling, you take the salvage title and take the money and try to make sure the vehicle is safe. Okay, safety is the first thing. Now, people credit are getting messed up because they are upside down on the payment. That means the loan is more than what the car is worth because somehow someone's gotten behind on the payments, maybe 1 or 2 months behind on the payment. Not only that, they have late fees, the interest is accumulated. So we have to get used to paying our bills the day before is due, not 30 days later. Because if you're paying your bills 30 days later or 29 days later, paying it fast enough so it won't hit the credit report, you are accumulating interest, okay? And that interest is what's going to make the balance of the bill larger. Then you can't pay the vehicle off because it's more more than what you were expecting. So if you got a check for $3,000 for a salvage title, and then you have a $6,000 car loan, you have a problem there because you do have to go ahead and pay the other $3,000 because the bank or the auto dealership, wherever you got your loan from, is expecting that payment, okay? So then you might go out and get a new car with that $3,000 check, or if you decide to turn the car in, you might go out and get a new car because it'll be more than what that salvage. You understand a salvage title? That means you're taking the vehicle, the insurance company can't fix it. You're going to go ahead and get someone else to fix it. But in the meanwhile, you have a check to get it fixed. However, you still need to pay on that loan. So you got 2 or 3 things going on. So if you're not paying on time, your credit is messed up.
So let
Okay,
me back up
if
for
it's
1
30
minute.
days late, it's going to report late. But you
Wow.
still need to pay that off so that you can bring your credit score back up. But in the meanwhile, let's think about paying our bills before they due, not just on the due date or a few weeks after they're due, but before, so that we won't be upside down on our vehicles.
I've had people ask this question: am I still insured if my car is written off? A lot of people don't know that even though your car is written off, that you still have to make the payment.
Well,
There comes a
see,
time where, if you have a claim and your car is written off and you have a claim on your insurance, you'll still be required to meet your monthly insurance payment until the end of the policy if you no longer have the car. So even though you no longer have the
now,
car,
when you no longer have the car, you paying for a service, so you don't continue to pay for that service if you're no longer using the service. And if you paid in advance, you get a refund from the insurance company.
well, they
Yes.
say sometimes if you have a claim, that it's possible that you may have to, because I know one time that happened. If you have a claim and
Each
you,
person's
and if,
specific
yeah,
situation is different, so we won't spend time with our listeners discussing that, if you don't mind, Crystal, because each
okay.
person's situation is different.
All right,
Um,
so before we get
yeah.
off this
So
topic, I just want to reiterate what she said so far. If you just came in, we were talking about uninsured motorists and underinsured motorists, and we want to make sure that you really understand the difference. Uninsured motorists coverage pays for the medical bills and other expenses when you are hit by someone who doesn't have auto liability insurance. That's uninsured motorists. If they don't have auto liability insurance, the coverage is paid for your medical and other expenses when you're hit by someone who doesn't have that. But the underinsured motorist covers and pays for the medical bills and other expenses when you're hit by someone who doesn't have enough. So under means they don't have enough. So just keep that in mind. Under means they don't have enough. Uninsured means they don't have any. Okay? And so make sure, again, that if you have young children, they're going out getting these cards, that they get the underinsured and the uninsured motorists, and they make sure it's included. A lot of
mhm.
times they don't think it's important, but it is important. Okay,
Now,
so I
let's
thank you so
put
much for coming
emphasis
in.
on, when you're getting your new car and you're getting a car finance, don't skip on your insurance, because if you have enough insurance, you won't have to be concerned about things hitting your credit report, right? Because
Right.
you're going to pay your car note before it's due on the day it's due, not 30 days later, because you are accumulating interest. Every day you wait, you're accumulating more interest. So you're putting interest on the payment you haven't paid, you're paying interest on that. Then you already have the interest on the balance of the loan. Now, when you at that car dealership and you have a loan, they want to make sure you have the liability. Okay. Liability, and then your comprehensive coverage in case someone does theft to your car. Okay. You do some property damage. You want to have all that covered. And then you want to have medical. So in case you have a high deductible in your insurance, medical insurance, your health insurance, you're not coming out of pocket to pay for your medical expenses or someone else's, okay? Because the liability is covering mishaps for others, but your medical insurance will cover what's going on with you. So if you have a high deductible, but you have a $2,000 medical policy, that can go ahead and pay for you and whoever's in your vehicle, okay? Because they have to be covered too, especially if it's your fault. They have to be covered too. And so we can talk all night long about insurance, car insurance and whatnot, but everyone's situation is different. So unless someone's an insurance agent and they specialize in homeowners and automobile insurance, you don't want to talk to them because you're getting too many different opinions. And that's what's happening now. People don't trust insurance companies, okay, and whatnot, because they're doing too much hearsay. So we have to learn how to dissect what is true and what's not true. And you can only speak to the experts when it comes to truth.
Well, let me ask you a question. So if you're just joining, we're talking about like, are you really ready for life's unexpected emergencies? We talked about different emergencies, the car repairs, the home appliances breaking down, medical emergency, unexpected death. We talked about that. We talked about how if you're not prepared and you don't have things set up, that you can actually, eat up your savings, because you don't have the necessary things to cover these unexpected emergencies. If you have a question, you are welcome to ask questions. How you doing for those coming in? You are welcome to ask
Mm-hmm.
questions. If you have an unexpected emergency, or we are also talking about if you need to ask questions about moving money around. You have money and you want to figure out if you're getting to that point to making withdrawals from your 401k and you just have questions about penalties and about loans and withdrawals. We're asking all those type of questions in regards to those things. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Anything specific that you want to touch on, Dr. Rowland, in regards to people who may be making that shift in their life, getting ready to go to retirement? They want to know about how they need to move their money around, what money can they move, how to move it. Anything you want to tell them about that?
Okay, so tonight we were talking about legacy and all. So let's talk about that, moving that money. You have your 401k and your savings, smart savings. Smart savings meaning you have money in insurance plans that have cash values, or you have individual IRAs through annuities. Some people may have money sitting in the bank, was sitting in a savings for retirement with that low interest rate. We don't call that smart savings, but you should have money there in the event emergency funds come up, so you don't have to go and dig into your retirement and on your 401k. You just don't want to do that, because then when the retirement comes, we won't be ready unless you were like a farmer who had 20 children who can keep working for you. But anyway, what I want to say about moving your money, if you borrow from your 401k and you leave your job, that's going to be reported as income. That's going to put you in another tax
Tax.
bracket. And then you're going to pay more taxes. So you really need to target your tax expert about that. Okay. So someone have a $40,000 or $100,000 401k. They borrowed 20,000. They decide they want to do the great exit, like a lot of people left their jobs. Okay. If those 401ks weren't caught up, they need to figure out how in the world they're going to pay taxes on that money. Okay. Now, let's say you're over 59 and a half, you're not going to pay the 10% penalty. Okay. And then you're going to start considering, well, if I can't put that money back in my 401k, I have until the end of the year to roll it over, maybe to an annuity, which I can help you with, or somewhere else where I'm going to have a smart savings, and then I won't pay 10% penalty on that because I wasn't 59 and a half. Or if I'm over 59 and a half, even though I won't pay 10% penalty, if your income's $100,000, but you left the job and you borrowed 20,000 from your 401k, that's going to show as your income being 120,000. So unless you have a business, some write-offs, or some dependents, that's going to put you in a higher tax bracket. So before you take money out of your 401k, talk to your tax person so that you can hypothetically look at your options. And then you talk to a financial consultant such as myself, or an insurance agent who deals with all types of insurance, because there are some who just deal with final expense plans. Those plans grandma has, so they may not be able to help you. So you want to make sure you're speaking to someone who's qualified. Now, if you can't put that money back in your 401k or pay yourself back through the 401k, you're on a job, but let's say you maxed out the amount of money and different withdrawals you can do from your 401k, and then you take one and it's not a hardship withdrawal, okay? You borrow from yourself, but you can't put it back in your 401k. Just remember, by the end of the year, you need to figure out where you're going to put that money so you won't be in the next tax bracket. And you may not want to, don't mind having an extra $10,000 reporting on your income, but then put the other 10,000 somewhere else so that you don't be taxed on it, because you just don't want it sitting in your savings account, and then the next thing you know, you're in a 25% tax bracket, but you're getting like 0.007% interest on that money in that savings account.
Now, I was looking at something that was very interesting. I was looking at something that shows how much money most people should have in their 401k, between the ages of 20 to 29, 30 to 39, 40 to 49. How important is it, Dr. Rowland, for people to really have this conversation with their children to make sure they elect to get the 401k on their jobs? Or how important is it for them to find a way to still save if they don't offer it on the job and find another avenue to put their money away towards retirement?
Okay, so you have to think about your risk tolerance. Okay, your risk. Are you a high risk taker or moderate risk taker? Because there are many people killing themselves over their money. So that's why we can't go too broad here. Okay. Suicide is real. Money is real. Okay. So we can't go too broad. So it just depends on how much of a risk taker you are. Some people may not want their money in 401ks because they want to have a little bit more control. So it's up to you, because whether it's a 401k or you investing in stocks and bonds, some way or another, you're going to be paying taxes on that money. So if you have a 401k, a 403b, you decide you want that money to grow tax deferred, meaning it's going to come out of your paycheck before you start paying taxes. Okay. So then you have to consider, well, yes, put me in a lower tax bracket right now. Okay. But do I want to pay higher taxes later? People weren't thinking about taxes being higher now. Okay.
Right.
We want all these benefits in the great USA, but who's going to pay for it? The
Okay.
taxpayer. So
So
will the
somebody has a
tax
question.
be higher now or lower later, or higher later and lower now? So you have to, I'm gonna get to the question answer. You have to figure out how you want to do your money. Grandma said don't have all your eggs in one basket. So you might want to have a cash value insurance policy. So when the market's down, you can tap into that, or an annuity, and you don't have to be concerned when the Dow drop or the S&P 500 drop, because those things will not go below zero. Mm-hmm.
Wow.
What's
So
the
the
rule of
question
thumb
on the
for
on the floor
retirement
is, what's
yearly?
the rule of thumb? Yes.
Okay, so this was not
Go
supposed to
ahead.
be a retirement conversation, but we're going there. This is like financial emergencies and all, but you got it right. Crystal started this. Okay, so what's the rule of thumb for retirement early? And how many years? Um, if you're retiring before 55, you're not getting Social Security until 62. Then if you're going to dab into your Social Security before your full Social Security age, which they would call your full retirement age, which was in most cases is going to be 67, 68 for some people. That means you're taking your Social Security out at 62, 6 years before you should. Okay, but if you keep waiting, you're going to have an 8% increase for each year you decide not to take your Social Security out early. So if you're going to retire, what are you retiring on? Do you have a pension? If you don't have a pension, have you truthfully saved up money in that 401k through your job? If you left your 401k money at another company, you have no control over how it's invested. So you want to figure out how you're going to roll over that money somewhere as soon as possible, so you can have control over the growth of the money and make sure it's in the right allocations before the market dip. Okay, it's done dip. So you have to start looking at what am I going to do for retirement? If you don't, you have to add up your expenses. If you got a $200,000 house and you owe $150,000, someone may not be ready to retire. Okay. If you put that whole $150,000 from your retirement on your home is going to be a $0 mortgage. But what are you going to do to keep up with the maintenance on that home? Now, do you want to travel and sell the seven seas? So you really have to dream when it comes to retirement. Do you want to be around for the grandchildren, to be able to fly to what state they're in, to spend some time with them? What type of spending habits you have? So retirement and savings is all about behavior. So let me hear you say behavior.
Behavior.
Behavior. You know whether or not you disciplined enough to spend a certain percentage of your money and leave the others where they are. Are you going to have different buckets of money?
Wow.
Have a bucket of money where it's growing. You decide to leave it at the job maybe, and you're going to tell them you want it to grow in moderate, safe funds. Don't be taking all this risk with my money. I'm younger than 59 and a half, so I'm going to wait before I pull it out. But then I had this inheritance. How long can I make 50 or 100,000 or 200,000 stretch? Because really, $500,000 and $1 million may not be enough for retirement if you're 55 or 50 and you want to retire early. You plan to live until 80. That's 30-something years. What's your spending habit? You know yourself better than anyone else.
That's a
Thank you,
good point.
hopefully we answer your questions. And
That's a
the
good
other
point.
thing is, how well are you taking care of your health? Okay, we're not knocking anyone who didn't know any better, but they told us not to smoke too much. They told us not to drink too much, and they told us not to pop them pills. So then, how have we been doing with the beverages we drink? Are we drinking too many sodas? Are we setting ourselves up to have health challenges? Or are we going to take care of our health so that we won't eat up our wealth?
So
And we
let me
won't
ask you
have to
this.
sit and watch soap operas and stories and get fat, and then we can't enjoy retirement.
So let
And
me
we're
say
not
this.
against fat people, obese people, because some people are big bone, and that's just the way it's going to be. But we want you to be healthy in your retirement.
All right, so let me tell you this. Chocolate, I think she left. She had a question, but I see she went to another live. She was going to ask a question, so sorry I didn't get to her in time. I was trying to let her ask a question she wanted to come up and ask. But let me ask this question because somebody else mentioned it too. How much emergency cash should a person have on hand? Like, how much should a person save? In a matter of a month or 3 to 6 months, how do they calculate how much money they should have on hand for emergencies?
Okay, so everyone should have at least 6 months to 12 months salary sitting somewhere, even if you have to tap into other things you shouldn't tap into because you have to pay a penalty. But the money has to be somewhere. People are tired of people asking for their money, asking for a loan. Okay, if you don't have a rich uncle or somewhere, at least have 6 months to 12 months of money sitting somewhere. Okay, and
Six
once
months
it's
of your
built,
salary or 6 months
six
of your
months
bills, how much your bills are?
6 months of your salary if you can for a job layoff. We've been married going on 30 plus years. We don't have 9 to 10 job layoffs. We had to dip into things, but we know how to get it back. Okay, so it's a behavior. you know you're not crying over the money. You're gonna really hustle and get your money back legally. Okay, so let's start with the emergency fund. How are you going to save 6 months, 12 months of salary if you don't have an emergency fund? So our discussion is about making sure we do not drain our money. Okay, so let's say there's a possibility of being a caregiver. The person you care for or will eventually care for, make sure they are saving money too. You have to be truthful in this conversation of life. We have to be truthful to one another. Mom, dad, Aunt Sue, I see y'all like spending it up, and you
That's a
only
good
got
point.
one child. Okay, then you might need to depend on your nieces and nephews. So what are you doing to
That's a
prepare
good
for
point
the
because
future?
that person is
Because
sick. That's a good point. That person is sick. Sometimes they just want to spend it up because they feel like they leaving, so they don't think about nothing. And you need to get nosy and find out, are they covered?
Mhm.
Do they have insurance? Do they have enough so that if something happens to them, you're not stuck with the bill?
Yeah, because they need to make sure they're having their disability insurance, critical illness, sandwich generations, people having to raise their children, take care of their parents. The parents not 70, 80. Some parents are 60. You know, people have a disability. They're not checking out. They're not dying. People aren't dying from accidents. They're living longer, okay, because of modern medicine and the will to live. Who wants to die? Okay. You know, the God put it in us to live for a reason. So that when we start thinking about legacy planning, our future, and then we got to get it in our brain. You know, is it fair for me to live the way I want to live and party like it's 1999? Then my children got to take care of me. Okay, they got to take care of me and their grandma and their children and the whole family. Is that fair? That means that eventually when they retire, they're not going to have enough money for retirement because they had to spend it on the relatives, unless some people
Wow.
are smart and say, this is not fair. You just messed up. Okay, they didn't have no job layoffs or nothing. They worked for the government. So the thing is the behavior. What
So
are
what's
we doing?
out there? What's out there in place for situations like you just mentioned? There are some programs out there that people can get advantage of. I know you mentioned it before. There's financial assistance programs for situations like that, correct?
Funds are running low everywhere. Nonprofits are closing. Okay. So if you're in a dire situation right now, okay, I specialize in business and financial consulting, Stormy, which leads into legacy planning. Okay. And on the business and career side, we're focusing on how we are going to be sustainable, that we are not depressed, stressed, busted and disgusted, that we can't focus when we're in our business. We can't focus for when we are at our jobs trying to climb, per se, the corporate ladder. And then so we're miserable there, we're miserable at home. Where are we going to have that balance? And we can have that balance through strategy. So I focus on strategy. My licenses are in finance, insurance, annuities, retirement. So I do have those licenses. And then my doctorate is in business administration, where I focused on social impact, okay, entrepreneurial leadership, as well as finance there. So along my first degree was sociology, so I thought I was going to be a sociologist, MBA in management. So that's my focus. That's the reason why I can help so many people. My mom passed away when I was 10, and she was murdered. My grandmother passed away when I was pregnant with my first child, so I had no one to lean on because
Wow.
my grandmother was gone, who was my custodian care and took care of me. My mom was
Wow.
gone. Then the next thing you know, our aunts passed away, and so all my mother's brothers and sisters are gone. I didn't
Wow.
have anyone to lean on. And so I had to learn a lot from the school of hard knocks. And so that's why we are here together, so that we can bring it all together, and maybe some people will not have to go through what we went through, because I am the most hopeful person. Okay. You know, a dollar's gone. I know how to make 2 or 5 more. Okay. So that's the thing. So I specialize in strategy, and we have to have a financial strategy so that our businesses and our careers and leaving a legacy and our retirement and our health are all intact. Okay. Well, we're not robbing Peter to pay Paul, and we owe no one nothing but to love them. And then that way we won't have to compromise our values as well. Now, along that way, we're talking about succession planning. How are we going to retire from that business? Okay. How are we going to retire well from that career? Okay. So, what's the exit strategy?
Yeah, that's
What's
good.
the
A lot of
retirement
people don't
strategy?
have that.
What is the strategy?
A lot of people don't have an exit strategy. They just get pushed over the limb. They get that pink slip, something happens, they lay it off, and they just pushed out there. So people need to think more about an exit strategy, like the what ifs. What if
The
this
what
happened?
ifs. That's the even computer program. What if then, okay, what if then. So what if I'm going to be ready? What if I'm up in someone's home and they're not in a good neighborhood? I'm not going to be in fear. I want to get there to help them with their behavior to get out, but I know how I'm going to exit out the back door through the window if something comes up. So that's how life is. What is your exit strategy? How are you going into retirement? How are you going to yes, millions can be made and more from investments and other people once we support their missions and dreams, right? But we want to make sure charity begins at home. We have our stuff intact so that we all can grow together. That's the purpose. Now, I've been in the someone asked about what I do. I still provide help people enroll into their Medicare benefits, understand their Social Security. So I've been doing all this since 2005, 2006. I'm not new to the scene, okay? And my research, financial advisors, marketing strategies to minorities so people can understand. You know, in the Asian, African American community, Black community, there are trillions of dollars. And
Now,
those
see the
trillions of
question.
dollars are not going into the homes.
Yes. You
Yes,
see the question?
annuities can be passed on to family members, okay? Those will be taxed. However, if you have enough life insurance, the life insurance can pay on those taxes for the annuities. Land can be passed on to relatives. If people have enough life insurance or leaving money behind, that can pay off the taxes and keep that property going. Okay. And so that's how it is there. If people have money in the bank, they want to make sure they're putting transfer upon death to the loved one they know that's going to take care of everyone. So we just have to remember cash, annuities are great, and houses. When we leave those behind and we make a sell and different stuff, we may have to pay taxes on it. If we're leaving $5 million behind, we're going to pay estate taxes. So you're going to talk to the tax professional. So the strategy is to know what we are doing when we decide to leave money behind, what we're going to do when we retire, what we're going to do when our job is stressing us out and we know we have a skill to take it to the next level by creating our own business. There's even research out there how African American male and women and men, how they're having PTSD from the workplace. So that's shortening our lives.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
But
so
if we don't have an exit strategy, we just leave the job. Not having money can shorten our lives too.
Instagram is gonna cut me off, so that's why I'm trying to get that point in there. Tell the people how they can make an appointment with you. I'm gonna pin it up in there now again, but give them your website and your contact information so that if they have questions, they can reach you. Can you say it, please?
No,
Because Instagram is gonna
no.
cut us off.
Jonica Rowland is my name. Dr. Jonica Rowland, Rowland is my name. You can go to calendly.com/Dr. Jonica Rowland. That's Dr. Jonica Rowland. Or you can just email me, Jonica@jonicarowland.com. You can text me, 919-539-2492, or you can call me, okay? You can hit me up on Messenger wherever you are. I'm fine. You can find me. Okay, you can find me. Now, one quick thing before Crystal gets cut off. It's very important for us to think about loved ones, those who may pass away. Do they have enough insurance to cover burial? If not, we do have the funeral assistant plan where it's going to pay for 7 funerals. Okay, the money goes to the funeral home. It's not an insurance plan. Okay, and the funeral assistant program will be there to pay for burial, pay to transport the body if they're not in the state it needs to be. I mean, you have to fly a body where it needs to go, okay? And all this can be done while people are trying to find that insurance policy. Some people can't even find the insurance policy. You can even be flown to the location where the body is. A round trip ticket is paid. You don't need social security numbers. You just need their name and their birth dates and the country of origin where they might need to be flown back to if it's between the United States and South America and some of the islands, okay? So just know that it's very important to check with your loved ones, to check with your caregivers, your brothers, your sisters, your aunt, anyone who's depending on you and your parents to help them get buried.
So
Okay?
let me reiterate that if you just came in, if you missed that. If you don't know about if that person's insured, you can insure 7 people for a minimal cost. And in the process, you'll be able to go to where they are, fly them where they need to go, the insurance will be covered. And this is a funeral assistance program. If you are interested in finding out more, screenshot the phone number there, 919-539-2492. You don't need their social security number. And they have to be, is it 65 or under, Jonica?
We'll discuss it. They it's 65 and under, but they can insure their it's not insurance. They can have their parents on the plan. They can have their uncle. They don't even have to be kin. It could be the god brother, god sister, and employee. They can have who needs to be on that plan. And it's 7 people, 7 members on the plan for either $60 or $75 a month, depending on what state you live in.
So
It's paying the funeral
stop 1 moment.
director, the
Stop
wake.
1 moment. $60 per person for 7 or $60 for all 7?
$60 for the entire group of 7 or $75. Everyone's covered. And we even got the special now. People want to pay 12 months. They're getting the 13th and the 14th month at $0. Okay. So that's something to think about. The casket being paid for, cremation being done, a nice urn, standard funeral expense, the funeral director being paid for, the death certificate being paid for, the wake being paid for. There was
And
someone
this
a
can
couple
be
of
for your
cities
neighbor,
over.
your cousin. It doesn't have to be a family member.
It doesn't have to be a family member. And better yet, tell someone about us. Tell someone. Contact Dr. Jonica. They enroll in the plan. You get a $25 check from the company. Assure for Life. You get a $25 check from the company. So go ahead and email me, okay? Or schedule your appointment so I can send you the quick YouTube about it, okay? Also follow us on Facebook. I'll have it up there too. But the thing is let's get it together, because if you haven't
Don't worry
really
about putting it up there now, because we
before,
can copy and paste it. Don't worry about putting it up there now. We can copy and paste it back. Just tell it to them. Tell it to them.
if you ever had to chip in on a GoFundMe page or give someone some cash for for life insurance, because they didn't have enough life insurance, get a load of this. The funeral assistance plan is paying whatever the insurance will be at the time of the demise. So someone may have a $10,000 life insurance policy now, but it may be $15,000 in a couple of years. The funeral assistance program is paying for that. They're just making sure you have a credible funeral home who's going to accept the payment. And the funeral directors are liking it because they're getting their money in 2 to 3 days versus they have to wait until someone finds the policy. But guess what? No one's being buried until someone finds the policy. There are other cultures, they're being buried in 2 to 3 days. And then some cultures, it's taking 7 to 14 days because they have to get that money together.
So let me recap what you just said. For $60, if you have some friends, some family members, you can cover them with a funeral assistance program. It could be in addition to their life insurance, or if they don't have life insurance, at least you know they'll get buried. At least you know that you can possibly get to them if you need to get to them, because this policy will cover you to fly to where they need to, to go see them or to get their body back to you. So if you have somebody who's young or somebody you know is not taking care of their business, this is a great way to make sure they're covered for $60 for 7 people. And the money goes straight to the funeral home. It goes straight to the funeral home. And it's worth asking about. It's worth looking into.
A city over, someone had to plan only 2 weeks, and they're 4 children were in a car accident, okay? And unfortunately, the lady had to bury 2 people in 2 weeks, within 2 weeks after the plan. She had to
And
bury
this
2
policy,
children.
and is there a is there a
There's a
time frame?
3-way.
Like if they get the